Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with another chapter reading of Give Me Back My Children. This is chapter 3, In Bed with a Stranger. Go ahead and hit that like button as we begin. November 1998 to 2001. Panic swelled as the reception ended. We didn't go to the car as I expected, but instead, I followed my husband up a flight of stairs to a slightly open door. To my amazement, my bags were in the bedroom and my dresses hung in someone's closet. This is Macy's room. She's letting us use it till we get the shop ready, Rich said. Eventually, I'd understand what he was talking about. For now, I focused on getting through this night. If somebody says getting the shop ready, I would be so confused. Like, what do you mean, the shop where I'm working? But we'll see what happens with that. I still hadn't comprehended that I married a stranger. To my surprise, I found myself standing alone in the room. Alone at last. Built up emotions burst through the dam as I stepped into the bathroom. I sat down on the seat of the toilet with my face hidden in my hands as I tried to gain control of myself. Because they're supposed to keep sweet, remember? They're not supposed to show too much emotion. So here she is, marrying a stranger on her wedding night, probably scared and afraid, and she's trying to compose herself. I stood and looked at the crazy person in the mirror. What just happened? I shook my head, turning on the cold water, and washed my tears down the drain. I'm going to shower and be in bed before he comes back. I felt the back of my dress, and horror stabbed my heart. Shit. Oh, no, she didn't curse. Sorry, y'all. I'm surprised. All those hours of delicate stitchery, I hadn't once thought of how to get this dress off. Well, I'm gonna figure it out. I'll be damned if I'm waiting for Rich to come back. Finally, the last pearl white button escaped the eyelet. No noise outside the bathroom door. I was still safe. My demons cheered. After a quick shower, I dried off with the soft yellow towel and slipped into the dusty rose tri-cut nightgown. My obnoxiously full chest peeked through the lace-trimmed opening. Panicking, I slipped into the ivory lace robe and checked again. That gave better coverage. I sat on the edge of the bed, legs tucked under me. It felt amazing to take out the pins holding my thick hair on the top of my head. Over an hour and still no husband. Maybe he won't sleep in here. I entertained the thought with relief as I gathered my hair together, brought it over my shoulder, and began to brush. A noise made my heart jump. I flew off the bed when I realized I wasn't alone. How long have you been standing there? I asked. Long enough to know that I have the most beautiful angel with the longest hair to call my wife. Rich's seafoam blue eyes gleamed proudly. Blushing, I realized I had both hands closing the fabric of my robe around my neck. I thought I'd let you get some sleep. I was in bed, but my brothers drugged me here. His voice had a joking tone. Don't worry, I'll sleep on the floor. You take the bed. I began to be a fan of this good-looking man I married. You don't need to sleep on the floor. This king-size bed is big enough for the both of us, unless you kick in your sleep. Shy Demon kicked my butt. Did I really say that? My face was red as I stepped to the left side of the bed and pulled the covers back. I'm still amazed at how quickly these girls are expected from not even being able to talk or touch a guy to now being married to and expected to sleep with them. He went into the bathroom and I heard him whistle again. Was he whistling while brushing his teeth? The door opened, but I couldn't see him. I tucked my exhausted, scared self into the large bed and pulled the covers around my neck. I turned over and pretended to be asleep. A few minutes later, he slipped into bed. He didn't get under the covers. The red numbers on the nightstand trekked on. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I felt so lost, a whole new world. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to be safe. 3 o'clock, 3:45. Are you awake, he asked. Yes. Have you got any sleep? His voice was soft. Not a wink, you? Me either. There was a pause. Are you doing okay? How was I supposed to answer when I didn't know myself? Kind of, I guess. Well, I want you to feel safe. He stole the thoughts right out of my head. You looked beautiful tonight. What time did he mean? In my wedding dress or in my nightgown? Thank you, I said. It takes a lot of faith to give your life to a perfect stranger. You handled it admirably. Last night was a lot to handle. My family can get pretty wild. They like you, I can tell. I didn't say anything. Instead, I reached over and touched this man for the second time. He took hold of my hand and set it gently on his chest. Peace came over me, and I felt assured I would be safe. We lay there silently for the remainder of the night. My second married night, we had family prayer, and he read to me. My respect for him grew. We didn't have family prayer often in my house. We weren't a real religious family. Oh, I got that bed dropped off by that four-letter word earlier. We lived more. Well, let me not say that, because just because you curse doesn't mean you're not religious. Okay, I'm going to leave that part alone. Let me erase that. We lived more a life of faith than a life of religion. Rich read a verse out of Light and Truth, then picked up a pillow and said, "Good night." My surprise must have been evident on my face. I go up to grandfather's and do night watch, he told me, like I would understand. Instead of quizzing him, I did what I do best. I faked wisdom and watched to see what happened. Rich stepped towards me and opened his arms. Can I have a hug? I walked into his arms for the first time. He melted all my fears away. Something pressed gently on top of my head. What was that? He smiled again, stepped away, and walked out. Closing the door, I excitedly picked up the phone and called Ava. I found out later from my sister that Rich does guard duty at the prophet's house every other night. Friday morning, 2 days after I became Mrs. Rich Allred, he came in. Want to go to Salt Lake with me to get the last load of stuff? They made a call for everyone to gather to Short Creek. To show loyalty, we should drop everything, our homes, jobs, and companies. The leaders preached about the wicked city of Salt Lake being condemned. Those left in Salt Lake would be destroyed. This weekend would be the last priesthood meeting on the Jeff's property. Can you be ready in a few hours? Would you do my laundry while I get the truck and trailer ready? We got to Salt Lake Friday night and stayed at one of his friends' houses. We got up early and went to Saturday Project. All the members contributed their time to helping others at the various places. The women worked together sewing and cooking meals for the working men. I never attended these meetings and was out of my comfort zone. I was introduced to Maria Jeffs, who was the matriarch of the church. I felt honored. We traveled with Warren Jeff's baby brother, who got married the same day we had. I knew his wife's name was Melissa, but that was it. I saw Ava and Corrine there. After we got done, why don't we go shopping, Ava asked. I agreed. When Rich comes to lunch, I'll let him know I'm going with you. Vehicles filled the driveway and food disappeared, so I saved Richard a plate and waited. The huge parking lot began to empty until my sister's vehicle was the only one left. You better go without me. I have no way of contacting Rich. Disappointed, I watched the taillights pull out of sight. All the doors were locked, and I didn't have a phone or number to remind Rich I was here. Ain't no way that I would have stayed there by myself. He would have just had to find me, because here you are, a woman, and what, you're supposed to be alone out there? I had no choice but to sit on the front cement porch and stare blankly at the pine trees and the brick wall standing between me and the road. I saw someone in the distance. It was Melissa. You too, huh? She said as she sat down beside me. The minutes turned to an hour, then another hour, then another. Oh no. 5 hours after my sister slipped from my sight, I was mad. I showed my horns at last. Melissa was talking, a blue streak. I hadn't listened for a while, instead planning the demise of this ass I married. I was cold. No coat, no purse, no sleeping bag. My horns and my pitchfork were ready for action. I just started my period and had nothing for it. Oh no. Ladies, y'all know that's the most uncomfortable feeling, is not being prepared for that. I needed to pee, my butt was sore, and my head pounded. It didn't help that I hardly slept in days. The wife of a friend we were staying with pulled up in the driveway. Hello. Your husbands have been asleep at the house most of the day. I thought they left before I did to pick you up. I guess not. She laughed as she went on her way. Oh, so she stopped to say something, but she didn't even pick them up? The poor boys were tired. I'm glad they slept, Melissa layered on the sweetness in her voice. Glad my ass. I'd call my dad and go home if I had a phone. I'll be damned if any boy treats the baby girl of even Carlisle this way. Think how hard it must be to be responsible for a wife. I can't imagine. Her words didn't soothe me. Anger swelled within and I nearly burst. She changed her mind after 30 more minutes. Oh, my heart. Didn't their moms teach them not to treat ladies in such a fashion? Is that all you got? I must be a pretty bad saint because that's how I cuss when I'm not mad. He's getting an earful from me. To hell with the sweet angel. And to think, everyone said Rich is the sweetest. Another 15 minutes went by. I'm about to wet myself, Melissa said. I had the same thoughts. 2 seconds later, our husband showed up. I never in my life had to be this vulnerable. It's not the Carlisle way. The truck drove in the gate. My drop-dead look said enough. I'm glad you boys finished your nap. Did you have a nice rest? Melissa asked in a voice that made me sick. Oh, I'm glad you boys finished your nap. Did you have a nice rest? I'm grateful you dropped your new brides off in a strange, unfamiliar place and left them since 7 a.m. I forgave her sweetness when she asked to stop at the restrooms right away. I had a few dollars, so I got some female napkins at the gas station. It saved me from surrendering my pride to ask Rich for money. When we got to a friend's house, I went straight to my room. I was mad and wanted to marinate in it for a while. I showered, dressed, and sat at the edge of the queen-size bed, my back to the door. My head pounded as I got out some Excedrin. I'm sorry, Rich said. That was thoughtless of me. I assumed you went with your sisters. Please forgive me. He gave me a hug. I didn't want him to soften my heart. He sat on the bed. I'll make it up to you. I love you. I got to go so I don't miss the priesthood meeting, but I'll be back. You can get some sleep. He said, I love you already? What did he say? Right. I was glad for the dimly lit room so he couldn't see my confused look. He loves me? I wanted to be mad, but anger turned into confusion. He left before I could say anything. He must not treat that word sacred. We didn't say it much growing up, and it was only said to me twice. Twice. My cramps subsided, and I drifted off to sleep. I hardly noticed when Rich came to bed. I opened my eyes the next morning. Strong, safe arms wrapped around me. How did I get here? An overwhelming feeling washed over me as I remembered his words last night. He couldn't already love me, but it felt nice all the same. I wanted this man to know he loved me. We planned to leave when the general meeting was over to make it back to Short Creek. Rich pulled a small notebook from his pocket and took notes as my own thoughts wandered. He held out his notebook for me to see. You are the girl of my dreams, in all caps. He not only etched it on the paper, but in my heart. My cheeks went different shades of red, as I'm sure everyone heard the fireworks in my heart. Isn't it interesting how quickly and how thickly Rich lays it on? It's like he jumps into the role of husband immediately because he was real close with Rachel too. Chapter 4, Little Papuska. In the community, there was an unspoken hierarchy. Being a daughter of a covenant, I wasn't as accepted as the others with a more prominent name. I wanted to be around people who saw me for me and not my name. When I married into the Allred, or Jeff's family, these same people suddenly saw me as an honorable lady. It bothered me. The family I married didn't change me. I didn't need changing. My father taught that our desires and actions make us who we are and nothing else. The name or position alone doesn't make someone good in the sight of God. So she was taught something different. It was 2 months after we got married. We planned to live in one-room apartment above the wood shop in his father's backyard in Short Creek. It was almost finished. Would you like to choose the light fixtures, molding carpet and paint? Rich asked me. I started to choose when Amelia, Rich's mother, marched in and pushed me out of the way. No, don't do this. Do this and this. I knew it shouldn't get on my nerves, but it did. My selections were tossed aside and Amelia took over. I felt like she didn't believe I was worthy of her son. It hadn't been nearly a month since my wedding. Rich and I were getting to know each other and loved the time we shared. I was happier than I thought I'd be. Richard's oldest brother's wife, Lily, came to see how the apartment was coming together. Why is Rich's mom always upset? I asked. She's just that way, she said. She comes across strong, but you'll get used to her. It shouldn't take long before you win her over. I wasn't sure, but I refused to live the monster mother-in-law story. Don't think I'm weird, but Rich has never kissed me, I told Lily, unless you count the wedding. Lily looked at me shocked. Are you serious? The people across the apartment looked over at us curiously. Maybe you'll have to kiss him and break the ice, she said more quietly. Knowing Rich, he won't want to take advantage of you. I looked across the room where he was painting around the window above the kitchen sink. He winked at me. I blushed with a big smile on my face. He was getting ready for guard duty that night. I got on my tippy toes, planning to give him a surprise kiss, but couldn't reach. I want to tell you a secret, I said. Rich's tall, lean frame bent over until his smiling face was in reaching distance. I planted a kiss on the right side of his clean-shaven face. His smile grew bigger. Thank you. I like that secret. He glanced at me once more before he left for the night. So that means if it's a month in and they haven't kissed, then they probably haven't consummated either. We were finishing the touch-ups in the apartment, excited to have our own place. At least I chose the light fixtures and the ceiling fan. Joyfully, I opened the apartment door to see them. I stopped dead in my tracks. Anger bubbled inside as I saw not my fan, not the bulb covers, but the ones I specifically said I didn't like. Anger sparked the fire inside of me. Now this B means war, the actual word. She's a cursor. I'm done with her bullying. She reached my breaking point, and I was ready to explode. I bit my tongue every day at work when she picked apart everything I did. I bit my tongue when she attacked the honor of my grandmother, whom I loved and cherished more than anyone. I don't know what she had against me, but I was done being Miss Congeniality. I wanted to bite back. So, how do you like it? Rich asked. I turned with a storm in my eyes. I don't know. Why don't you? Ask your mother. I pushed past him and slammed the door behind me. He soon caught up with me. What a mama's boy you are. Rich reached out and took hold of my arm, gently turning me. If you cared about me, you would not let her bully me. I've been kind and respectful, but no longer. Believe me, if I said everything I thought, it would scare the hell out of you. I'm not going to let someone push me around. I tried to pull away so I could keep from being mad. Let me go. His touch always melted me, and I wanted to be mad. I wanted to storm up to Amelia and tell her what no one else dared. Amelia Ared won't bully this bee anymore. Oh my hell, I spat out. You are not laughing at me. I wouldn't think of it, he denied. Yes, you are. Rich let out an angering laugh. Before I knew it, he picked me up and twirled me around on the back lawn of his parents' house. The children came out laughing. Rich is twirling Sarah. I started to feel dizzy. Why do you have to be so damn cute? I whispered as he set me on the grass. That's all it took, girl, was a twirl. You weren't that upset then, I guess. Good job, Rich. What am I going to do to stop you from swearing? He grabbed my ticklish spot at the sides of my waist. We were now surrounded by his younger brothers and sisters. Free kisses, he shouted, playfully holding me down on the grass. No, you don't. I fought as his siblings tried to tackle him down. No fair. Whose side are you on? They all piled on him to help me get away. You bewitched the lot of us. We laughed so hard we fell on our backs looking at the clear blue sky. Attack Muna, he yelled. Muna was another nickname for one of Dean's wives. All the children turned and ran. Rich jumped up, then helped me stand. We better make a run for it. We ran across the yard and climbed in his forest green F-150. He worked at Alico, the family business. It was a lanyard company. My first project coming into the family was to sew the whole family new underwear. I dreamed underwear for months. We lived in our new studio apartment nearly a week. We made it a cute little home where we would start our lives together. There was a bathroom to the side and a little kitchenette. It fit our oak table and chairs, fridge, dishwasher, and micro oak cabinets. The window over the sink looked across to the in-laws. The rest was open space to turn into a bedroom, living and sitting area. We owned a portable closet for our clothes. The ceiling fan was almost to the year. A lot of love dwelled in those 4 square walls as we chased each other around the room, laughing, talking, learning, growing. Life couldn't be happier. A few couples got married around the time that Rich and I did. What do you think about getting legally married? One of his friends asked. Yeah, that'd be good. Liam would get his big brother, a justice of the peace, to come sign papers tomorrow night. He won't make us go through the ceremony. They're not getting away that easily. Looking up the justice of the peace, I dialed his number. Hi, my name is Sarah. Liam made an appointment with you. Will you make them go through the formal ceremony? I was as proud as a peacock when I hung up and let the girls in on the secret. What's interesting is I think that a lot of their marriages were never made legal. So a lot of them feel like they're married, but by law, even if they are the first wife, they're not. We got in our wedding dresses while the guys waited in the yard to guide the justice of the peace to our apartment. The guys were shocked when they saw us. When everyone came in, the justice of the peace said, okay, who's first? We pointed to Liam. Stand up there. Can't we sign the papers without the ceremony? The justice of the peace looked at him shocked. No, sir. You have to stand here with your wife and go over the vows. A light went on inside Rich's mind. I looked at him innocently. A sparkle of laughter shone in his eyes. Let's do it all together. 7 brides for 7 brothers styles, Rich said. He had something up his sleeve as well. The 8 of us stood and went through the ceremony. Now you may kiss the bride. Before I realized what happened, Rich took me in his arms and tipped me back. For the first time, he kissed me long, hard, and passionately. Unfamiliar feelings shot through my body, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. When he stopped kissing me, I felt weak in the knees. He held me until I got my bearings. I was embarrassed, and my face flushed. It's time for everyone to leave. I never met that demon before, but I wanted to explore this kissing thing. You act like it was your first kiss, my new sister-in-law Felicity said as I walked over to her. I said nothing, letting her read the expression on my face. Here goes another picture of her and Rich. No way, Felicity said, covering her mouth in shock. I can't believe it. You two are so cute and comfortable together. You probably haven't had intercourse yet. My face showed the puzzlement I felt. What's intercourse? I'm not surprised. Why am I surprised if she doesn't know this? Felicity had to strain to hear me. Seeing her reaction made me wish I could take it back. You should ask Rich, she finally answered. Are you like Melissa and think holding hands makes a baby? I guess I didn't think too much about it. The meaning of intercourse dawned on me. I know there's more and know we haven't done it. I tried too hard to redeem myself. Kiss your husband like that when no one is around. The rest of it comes naturally. I didn't feel comfortable trying what my friend suggested. She confronted me again when we got together one evening. I'd been married close to 2 months when I decided I was ready. Everyone stayed late that night. We'd ordered pizza and watched The Four Stooges. We finished cleaning up the pizza mess as the company left. Rich never made me feel like the woman needed to clean and do things around the house. Married life was different than what my mom said. I never saw my parents show affection for each other. I often wondered if my parents loved each other. My children will never wonder that, I promised myself. Rich grabbed my sides. I jumped. I'm starting to tap into your sense of humor. I read what you're thinking. Oh, really? What am I thinking right now then? You're thinking my useless husband better take out the trash or he don't get no spending cash. He pulled out the full garbage bag and replaced it as he always did from the time I met him. Every girl's dream, a man who takes out the trash. The sad thing is that Rich is so brainwashed because listening, he sounds like a good guy. Not exactly, but you're getting better. I'll tell you as soon as you get back. I hurried to the shower and slipped into my nightgown. I opened the bathroom door and realized Rich wasn't back yet. He must have stopped and talked to someone. After saying my prayers, I slipped into the bed. I woke up when I heard him climbing into bed. Hey, beautiful, I didn't mean to wake you. I'd never forgive you if you hadn't. I rolled on my stomach, my elbows propped on his chest. I drew my face near his, almost touching. This is what I was thinking earlier. I covered his mouth with mine. I kissed him deeply for the first time. He returned my kisses, equally interested in exploring the emotions. It was like we became aware of each other physically. His tongue touched mine, and I pulled away in surprise, flushed and excited. I never thought kissing went deeper than lips. An overwhelming feeling awakened my body. His face filled with love, and I knew Richard was truly in love with Sarah. I slid my body on top of him, and the new emotions vibrated like lightning, so deep I felt it in my bones. I wanted to give myself to this man and give every single fiber of my being. I wonder if sometimes these young ladies mix up their feelings and think that what they feel in moments of passion is equal to a testimony. I wonder. I could be wrong, but because they never explore these things, how do they know any differently? For the first time, I felt and finally said the words, Richard Steed Allred, I love you with all my heart and soul. I opened my heart and let it fly into his. His body jumped with excitement as I returned the words he said to me every single day, more than twice a day for the last 2 months. He took my face in his strong, protecting hands and brought it in close. He kissed me deep and tender, exploring my mouth with his tongue. I wanted him to take all of me. I reached to the small snap that closed my nightgown when he stopped me. Confusion filled me. Didn't he want me? He responded to these feelings as much as I did. He took my hands. I want this, but I want to do this for the right reasons. And I feel like I need counseling. I don't want to displease Heavenly Father. Wait a second. You got to make sure that it's okay to sleep with your wife? Why'd you get married? Okay, never mind. I didn't know what to say. He rolled to his side and brought me close, my back to his chest. We can feel just as close cuddling in each other's arms, he said. In moments, I heard his even breathing and knew he was asleep. How could you? My soul screamed to itself. Tears rolled down my face and hit the sheets. My emotions betrayed me. If I wanted to be with Richard forever, I couldn't let my feelings be loose again because they must not be right. I didn't understand rejection. I felt his love so strong, but then he stopped me. It took me a while before my thoughts calmed down and I could sleep. After a long talk with his father, Richard felt ready. Okay, was he a virgin? I'm confused. I held myself back. My feelings were wicked and shouldn't be felt by good people. I didn't allow my passion to get in the way. Rich seemed afraid of doing anything wrong. We always prayed together before we started. Afterwards, Rich would pray for a long time, often falling asleep on his knees in the process. We'd almost turned it into a religious thing, asking God to direct the ceremony. My cycle was painful this morning, and I slipped in the private family room used for class. And when Rich's family had company, you can't fool me, the icy voice cut into my tender heart. I looked at Amelia. How can one be so beautiful yet so ugly at the same time? I wouldn't let this woman see she could hurt me. Excuse me? I stuck a smile on my face. I've heard about your kind, and you can't trick me. You get everyone on your side with a smile on your face, yet you be rich as you play damsel in distress. How dare you turn my son against me? Pity filled my soul. I'm sorry, Amelia. Sorry you allowed darkness in your soul so you can't let your son be happy. I want to be your friend, but you won't come between me and my happiness. I slipped out of the house into my apartment so she couldn't see the angry tears streaming down my cheeks. I waited as always for Rich's green truck to pull into the driveway. I run into his arms and we walk together to our little house and eat the meal I prepared. What's up with his mom? Or we walk across the field and eat at Dean's house. Sometimes we drove to what they call the edge of the world, steep rocky mountains that drop straight down into a canyon. Other times we drive in the canyons, pull off our shoes and socks, and walk in the silky sand which got between our toes. Way too often, we'd get covered in red sand. This time was different. His truck pulled up and he opened the door. Jump in. I slipped into my favorite place in the middle of his cab. What's this? I peered into the brown bag. Oh, for sweet. I planted a juicy kiss on his handsome face. We're going on a picnic, he said. How did you know I needed this? He placed his arm over my shoulder so I could lay my head on his chest. How was your day? We said simultaneously. You first, I said. He proceeded to tell me about his day as we drove. We drove out of civilization. We had a fun time, and I said nothing about my earlier encounter. I didn't want to waste my time with Rich talking about it. The sun had set. We lay on the blanket we kept in the trunk for just this reason. We were hand in hand looking up at the stars. What's bothering you? He asked. Nothing really. Is it Mother again? Why do you ask? Because you're acting how you always act when it's about Mother. I don't want to talk about her. Okay, here's something to talk about. He sat up and turned to me. Do you want to have a baby with me? I didn't know what to say. It was 3 short months since we got married, but looking into the eyes of the man I loved, I would do anything for him. Take your time, sweetheart. Don't feel rushed. When you're ready, he bent down and kissed me. I love you, Papuska. On our way back, I snuggled in the cradle of my lover. How could life get any better? My heart swelled with love as I pondered his question. You can be happier by bringing a blossom of your love to share. He stopped at the side of the road, putting the truck into park. We were still in the middle of the sticks. He turned on the interior light and looked at me. Will you do something for me? Promise, no matter what it is? I thought for a second. Yes, I promise. Love my mother and make her your best friend. Oh, boy. What in the, what? Your mother's treating me like crap. Can you tell your mother to love me? Why we gotta be best friends? That's a bit much. And I normally get along with moms, but that's a bit much. He found the one thing I wouldn't do. It's impossible. If anyone can, you can. I glared at him. You tricked me, knowing I don't make promises I don't intend to follow. I shook my head. You're a cruel beast. Oh, hell no. I backed away as I saw his cunning lips drawing near. No, you. There it was again, getting out of the doghouse with kisses. What a weak person he makes me. Other women call their husbands my man. Rich made it clear he was not my man. He never would be. My first duty will always be to the prophet of God. The prophet is my life, and I am at his call. Rich was on night duty every other night, sometimes every night, filling in for others. He'd also be on call during the day when Uncle Warren called. Rich dropped everything and ran. Uncle Rulon's family could gather together as fast as 15 minutes. Father wants to go on a family drive and wants everyone to attend was all it took. In minutes, ladies from every corner of the house dropped everything, grabbed their prepared necessities, and load in the assigned vehicles. On days where everyone was requested to attend, the ladies who weren't ready were looked upon as rebellious. Rulon Jess went on drives every Thursday at first, then 2 days a week. Soon, it was 6 days a week. Rich always went. Roran instructed Rich to build a restroom and sitting room trailer. Everywhere Jess went, Rich and the trailer were required to be there, sometimes within 5 minutes' notice. Rich learned to hitch fast. That's so selfish of them to feel like he was supposed to be at their beck and call. Yeah. I woke up excited. Rich and I were going to Sepio to spend a few days with my family. I hadn't seen or spent time with them for months. I packed things to stay overnight. Rich never went anywhere without Warren's approval. Rich checked and we were set. We got as far as Apple Valley, 13 miles away, before Rich pulled off and turned around without a word. My heart sank with disappointment. No one called. We sat in silence. The town drew nearer. Did you forget something? Why did you turn around? I asked. I have a feeling we should turn around. As we pulled into town, Rich's phone rang. Father wants to go on a ride, Warren said. Can you be here with the trailer in 15 minutes? So he got approval to leave. And then you call and tell him you need him there in 15 minutes. But if he didn't turn around, where would he have been? Selfish. Warren invited Rich to bring his lady. We tried traveling to different places and I always got disappointed. One time we were going to Canada. I was so excited, but Rich always found some reason we couldn't go. In Rulon Jeff's house, Warren had full control of Rulon's family. Warren spent more time with Rulon's family than his own. Rulon's wives would have private appointments with Warren, and I often thought they were in love with him years before Rulon's death. Even then, Warren had favorites. Oh, do tell. Watching these young, beautiful girls marry a man who could be their great-grandfather, I realized the blessing of my life with Rich. I chatted with one of the prophet's wives, who was a year older than me. She admitted how she resented my young love, get it out, girl, with a husband so close to my age. Being married to someone with so many other wives would be hard. In the evening, I watched them line up and say goodnight to Rulon, along with telling him their name and a reminder she was his wife. What? You marry so many people that you don't even know who's who? I couldn't imagine anyone missing out on the happiness I felt as I started a new life with my husband. I'm going to pick up the lock. The possible father called through the bathroom door. I'm going to pick the lock. The possible father called through the bathroom door. It was 4 months since we got married. I smiled at his excitement. But what if it says no? I thought nervously. He'll be so disappointed. My doctor told me my endometriosis was so bad it might be difficult to conceive. I unlocked the door and Rich nearly fell, grinning from ear to ear. He stood behind and wrapped his arms around me. He rested his chin on my shoulder as we stared at the white stick sitting on the top of the counter with the answer to our future. 1 line, 2. Before I could process what happened, the room spun around and I was in the excited arms of the new daddy. Father's little papuska, he whispered to my tummy. We should keep it a secret for a while. He forgot the moment he walked out the door. The first person Rich saw knew he would soon be a daddy. He carried on till he sang it from the rooftops. It tickled me to see him so happy. Each was one day closer to our new baby. We had the most sacred gift, entrusted with one of God's spirits, handpicked to be born in the last days. Rich would often make me breakfast. The thought was sweet. He tried diligently to keep me fed, though my stomach had a different opinion about food. Time flew by, but also stretched for eternity. Rich was an amazing support. I went to work most of the time, but was grateful it was forgiving family business. It was a forgiving family business. The tricot fabric of my nightgown pulled tight around my tummy. I'm having a baby. It started to sink in. I slipped into my bed when I felt movement. Rich, I felt the baby. He dropped the Book of Mormon. His large hands covered my belly, trying to feel this little miracle. I didn't know you can feel the baby move, I said in a girlish delight. Most of pregnancy and development I learned as I went along. They don't even get informed about any of these things growing up, and their mothers don't tell them anything. It's like they're not truly prepared for what's to come. Shh. I'm trying to feel. No fair. You get all the fun. I get all of the not fun too, dude. I slugged him playfully. I'll give you the throw up bucket and go to a feast. Or you can have your perfect tummy and get stretched and stretched. And if what they say is true, it'll get worse before it gets better. I know, my sweet, beautiful king. I'm proud of you. I'm the luckiest man in the world. You're more than I'd ever dreamed of. He placed his lips on my growing tummy. Oh, how I love you. I feel like the happiest baby mama alive. I covered his lips with mine. An overpowering desire swelled within me. I wanted to show him in the deepest way a man and a wife can. As the kissing got deeper and the passion arose, he stopped and pushed me away. He gathered his emotions together as I felt the painful rejection. We can't. Because that's one of the rules. The dumbest rule ever. I looked at him, hurt and confused. You're my husband. I'm your wife. It's what people do who love each other. He thought before answering. It's a sin to have any sexual connection while with child. Where does it say that? He took me in his arms. I wanted to pull away, but I wanted to be close. I wanted to pound against his chest and also feel it against mine. I wanted to understand, but I couldn't. Why do we have these feelings if they're a sin? I placed my head against his chest and closed my eyes. We went through a prenatal class taught by a nurse coach and learned about what happens in every stage of pregnancy. They prepared us to understand a natural birth since the FLDS looked down upon most medication. I wonder if the man would look down the medication if he had to experience labor pains. Why do they try to control the woman's body in all these different ways? Rich was more interested than I was. We carried the baby together. We prepared for our little boy until the ultrasound proved otherwise. So we started preparing for our little girl instead. The whole family was involved, which was new to me. Growing up, pregnancy meant moms got fat and later came home with a baby. His family touched my tummy and talked openly about pregnancy. Even children knew more than I did before I got pregnant. The day of November 27th, 1999 started bright and cherry, a day past my due date. Every first-time mother's nightmare. Will I be this way forever? Once again, she was kicking me. I maneuvered until the tiny foot was away from my rib cage. Rich stayed home today. His idea of getting ready for a baby was not the finest, but I went along with it. I grabbed my jacket. One last potty break, I promised. Rich took us on a bumpy ride. It was miserable. After a bit, I asked to go back. I needed the restroom again. While in the bathroom, Rich called through the door. I've got to go somewhere. I'll be right back. What? When she's past her due date? I didn't want to be alone, so I waddled like a miserable duck to the family room. Oh my gosh, you look like you're in labor, Ivy said. She was a nurse. I just feel miserable and have cramps. Nothing exciting. Sit here. I'll get some oils and rub your feet, Ivy said. I didn't argue. I plopped on the soft chair and tried to get comfortable. Oh my gosh, you're in labor, Sarah, Muna explained. Where is that husband of yours? Sarah's in labor, Macy. Where the hell is that man that did this to me, I asked. I became the center of attention. My stomach kept tightening and felt crampy. I've timed your contractions. They've been steady for nearly an hour. Where is that wild boy? Rich better get here soon. I felt pampered but uncomfortable. The word traveled and everyone was there but Rich. No, all y'all gotta go. This is not about to be a show. Where is Rich? Angry Demon grumbled. He left me for a second, and 3 hours later, still no Rich. Agitation grew. Rich's older brother finally got a hold of him. I never figured out where he went. It was probably best I didn't know. Rich's mom came, giving me moral support. We became good friends the last 7 months, just as Rich requested. She wasn't one to give her respect away. I had to earn it. I was in the office just off the dining room when everyone had eaten. Someone placed a glass of water in my hands. I tried to sip it, but I felt too nauseated. Most of the grown-ups were in the office giving support. Where's Saraboo? What does he call her? Sarobi? Sarobby? Some nickname he has for her, Rich called. I couldn't decide if I was relieved or upset. He walked into the room with a grin, rubbing his hands together in excitement. Are we going to pop out this baby? Splash! It was a knee-jerk reaction to throw water in his face. He stood in shock. And what the water didn't do, my look said the rest. Oh, wow. The Allred family saw a side of Sarah they've never seen before. Rich, I think you better take her to the clinic, said his big brother. I traveled the 15-minute drive to Hydell Clinic often, but this time I felt every bump on the road. I'm changing my mind. I can't do this, I complained as I got to the clinic. My support group was great, but their voices made my demons agitated. If you guys are here for a party, you should have stayed home, I said. It made people laugh, but I was serious. Luckily, they sensed it and gave me all the attention I demanded. You're getting close. Just breathe, said a voice. I'm breathing, but if you touch me there again, you might not be. Again, they laughed, and again, I meant what I said. You're ready to push. Okay, push. Okay, stop. Okay, push. Okay, stop. I have an idea. Why doesn't someone else take over? I'll be in the next room waiting for this to be done. It's a wonder anyone has more than one kid. Rich gave me strength. I didn't think I had. Him holding my hand helped immensely. So when he left, it felt like forever. Where were you? I demanded when Rich came back. He smiled. It was either the floor or the toilet. I chose the latter. Only the woman in labor can make jokes, I said. The delivery was rough. I lost a lot of blood. The baby didn't lower into the birth canal until I was in the second stage, causing internal tearing. Oh my goodness gracious. That meant 36 stitches, all inside. When the tiny little bundle was placed on my bare skin, an indescribable feeling filled me. It helped me realize why moms have more than one. The most beautiful girl any parent could dream of joined our union and added to our heavenly happiness. Janetta was born on November 27th, 1999 at 11:30 p.m. I imagined what it would be like when the world would come to an end. To my relief, the world didn't end in the year 2000. I remember lying in bed with my baby as I watched the clock. 11:57, 11:58, 11:59, 12 o'clock, nothing. Maybe God's time is different than ours, I joked in the darkness. Rich was a devoted father. I could hardly hold her long enough to care for her. It's time she learned to sleep in her bed, Rich. You're right, she's nearly a year old. I put her in her crib, singing softly and petting her dark, silky hair. She smiled at me and finally closed her eyes. I slipped into bed beside my husband, and before I knew it, fell asleep. In the night, I reached for my husband, but he wasn't there. I touched the side lamp and looked at the crib. There was my sweet baby fast asleep, right beside her, using his chest for a pillow. Was her daddy with his long legs stuck straight into the air. It was a marvel he was asleep. Shaking my head, I touched the lamp and fell back asleep. Janetta was a good baby, and I took her to work every day. Sometimes I didn't want to go anywhere because I didn't want to share her. Each moment of motherhood made me love it more and more. If Rich wasn't at the prophet's house, we worked at Alco. I was known as Janetta's mom. She was the company's mascot and a spark of joy. She loved dearly and coddled at Rulon's house, full of baby-hungry young wives. I think she was saying and was coddled. I never got to hold her. She was quick and bright, and as every first child, the smartest and the most beautiful baby who ever lived. Life couldn't be better. I had everything I ever dreamed of. We were married almost 2 years. Janetta was growing fast and so independent. Where did our baby go? I had a secret. I was planning a new baby in the first part of June. Rich handed me a bouquet of roses, another blossom of our love. Everything was good except the morning sickness. Can Aunt Shannon deliver this baby, Rich asked. I don't know her. Midwives get personal. It takes me a while to get comfortable. With the complications that she had, I wouldn't want no midwife. Take me to the hospital. You know her. She's Rulon Jeff's wife. I pulled a goofy expression. I know that. It meant a lot to me. Think about it. He paused at the door. I set up an appointment with her for tomorrow. He escaped a beating by slipping out of the door. How you gonna set up an appointment over my body? I didn't like seeing a different midwife, but it meant so much to Rich. I get over it. What was it about him that I let him boss me around? If someone came across bossy, Defiance Demon was always overpowering me and did the opposite. Love is an aggravating thing. Something else occupied my thoughts. A big change was coming. At first, I thought it was a new baby, but inside, I suspected differently. I had the feeling Rich was getting another wife. It was a feeling that demanded to be processed and a huge internal struggle. If I wanted salvation for myself from Rich, he needed another wife. Looking at it that way, maybe I could do this. I love Rich and wanted the world for him. I wanted to discuss it with Rich, sharing my husband didn't sit well with me, and plural marriage wasn't exactly what I wanted. Since getting married, I saw more beautiful examples. Some lived in well, others not so much. What have you thought about getting another wife? I asked Rich. He looked at me in astonishment. Sweetheart, I haven't thought about it at all. He moved his hands over my growing tummy. Let's contemplate on our present blessing. His hand slid to my side and tickled me until I thought I would die. Janetta screeched with joy and joined in on the fun. A week passed and the feelings grew. Rich, it's going to happen and I don't feel ready. I need to talk about it. My sweet Papuska, don't worry your head about it. I've been blessed with so much already. This is something for years down the road. I hoped he was right, but something in me said he wasn't. The subject was dropped for another week. It was the beginning of September and still sweltering hot. I was at Father Dean's when my portable phone in my pocket screamed to be answered. Somehow I knew what it meant. Don't answer, every demon warned. If I didn't answer, it wouldn't happen. It isn't fair. These 2 years have been glorious and I didn't want an intruder. Hello? Hi, can you hear me? Rich asked. The boss has another woman to place by my side. Who's the boss? For knowledge of the subject didn't prepare me for the actual confirmation. Invisible hands wrapped around my neck and began to squeeze the life from me. Papuska, are you there? Yes. The phone felt like a burning piece of coal. I had to get some air. Her name is Elizabeth Sullivan. I'm about to lose you. I'm going through the mountains. I'll be home in about 2 hours. I hung up, leaned against the wall, and slid to the floor. Jeanette was with Rich's little sister, so I let myself sob as I chucked the phone. I was grateful no one witnessed how much I died inside, because they're told that they're supposed to accept this. I'm not ready to share. Never again will our family be just us. Never again will I be the only one Rich calls his lover, mother of his children, and keeper of his heart. My beautiful home, personalized by pictures of our wedding and our family, as well as trinkets and special items we gave each other, was no longer mine. Now I had to tuck pictures and trinkets out of sight to be fair to his new wife. I also had to tuck away my freedom to love. Living with a sister was a new concept for me. I had 2 half-sisters, but with our age differences, we lived together. Did she mean to say that? Did she mean that with our age differences, we never lived together? It doesn't say never. Maybe it's a typo. I had to do this the only way I knew how, with all my heart. Richard had my love, and I didn't want to displease him. Thinking of him gave me strength to stand and resolve to never let anyone see the piece of my heart that died that day. Splashing cold water on my face, I looked in the mirror and saw the same stranger from nearly 2 years ago. And that is the end. You guys tell me what you think of those chapters. This is going to be interesting because it's a different concept and she was the first wife. And I think it's harder for the first wives than we even realize. But you guys tell me what you think down below. Until next time.